generally speaking, that can kind of throw offenses out of kilter and you get into some bad one-on-one habits. How do you guys make sure the ball is still popping and not get utterly thrown awry by having these guys switching on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously trying to have some discipline to continue to play and not just settle for isolation situations.
Steve, obviously there's talk of Robert Williams potentially returning in the series. I mean, is that even on your radar right now, or it's...
No, I mean, I think we focus on on Sunday, and just make sure that we're ready to play the best we can on Sunday. And same thing goes for Game 2, and whenever he's available, we'll account for him.
They obviously, you didn't have the guys at the time, but they beat you pretty badly twice. Can you gauge how good they were with the personnel you had out there, or is it sort of impossible to really judge those games?
I think the most realistic one is the last time we played them. It was a one-point game with a minute and a half left in Boston. That was our first game that we had all of our guys available outside of Joe and Ben. So I think you get a lot more out of that game than the other two where we had almost nobody in the rotation playing.
On the switching stuff, I've heard some coaches say just kind of ignore the switch, play through it, keep running stuff. I've heard some people stress like slipping through screens, ghost screens, trying to confuse the defense. Is there any particular stuff you're sort of stressing to the guys? All of
it. Lots of strategies to play against Reds. Easier said than done, but there's plenty of ways to attack it. It takes some thought, but it also takes some force and some ability to, like you said, just play through it and not overthink, but at the same time have an eye on the strategies that are involved to play against a switching defense.
Horford obviously isn't the athlete that Robert Williams is, but can you just talk about the different challenges he poses as an experienced veteran big?
Yeah, I think he's done a good job defensively this year. He's not going to do it the same way as Robert Williams, who's so long and athletic and protects the rim, but he's got a high IQ and he's done a good job containing people on the perimeter. So I think he's done a great job this year.
Obviously, you guys had a lot of respect and faith in Ime, but I mean, is it surprising how quickly, he's turned this team and gotten them completely, kind of playing the way he wants it in his image?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a great job, for sure. Having said that, they've had the longest run of health that group's had for 4 or 5 years. So I think that's part of it, too, is that they always, last year, I think Brown was out in the playoffs. Williams was out, in and out a lot. Obviously, they added pieces like Horford and a few others. So it's, part of it is their staff's done a great job, but part of it is they finally have had a long run of continuity. You get to see all their talent.
Do you think Kyrie really is going to relish the idea of going there and just receiving whatever it is that the fans give him? Or do you think he would rather have just said anybody else, but going here so we just concentrate on basketball now and deal with this?
I don't think he cares anymore. I think he's been through it now for a playoff series and 5, 6 regular season games or whatever it's been. I guess in 2 years, probably 4, 3 or 4. So he's probably had, you tell me, but he's had over a handful of games in Boston, so I don't think that he even really thinks too much about it anymore.
Do you think there's some pressure on him? I mean, you guys, not at the beginning, but made some accommodations so he could play some games, the games he was allowed to play. Do you think there's any pressure for him to kind of prove it was worth it all to the fans or even to you guys, I guess?
I don't think that's something that Kyrie should worry about. He made a decision, and that's in the past, and here we are. And so he should really be looking forward and not feel any sort of stress about what's in the past. Really, really focus on going forward. And this group now has been together with him for, I don't know, what's it been now, a month? Yeah. And so that's where we should be, is that we're building something here, and we've been together for the better part of a month, and we got to continue to improve through the playoffs. It's like, for this group, it's still before Thanksgiving, so to speak.
Are you impressed with, maybe his mental strength or emotional strength that he can go through all that and then play at the level he is? I mean, is that just his skills at playing?
Yeah, one, he is obviously an incredible player, and he's just that good at basketball. But, another part of it is, we all respond differently to stresses and all that stuff, and so it just depends on the person's makeup and how things affect them. Some people it really affects and they handle really well. Some people it barely affects, and they handle well or they don't. So I think it's really up to the individual.
Did you learn anything about him going through all this?
Not really. I think you know, this is something that was within, you know, I think Kyrie's makeup. We understood that he's an individual and he thinks of things in his own way, in his own time, and so it wasn't necessarily a learning experience as much as it was understanding Kyrie and how he sees the world and what he believes in.
The 7th seed is usually considered an underdog. Do you guys identify with that as an underdog, or do you guys feel like your seeding doesn't represent who you guys are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we do and we don't. You know, I think if we were together for the year, you know, we wouldn't be 7th, and so we wouldn't be an underdog. You know, now that we are together, I think we have, you know, an ability to beat people for sure. But the continuity piece, that last piece, is that we just haven't had a lot of time together. So trying to overcome that in a short period of time is our challenge.
These 4 days, what is it, 4 days off you guys had, or 3?
We had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
How important is that for Durant? I mean, he was really going hard up until the end. He was talking about his ankle was a little sore. I mean, how important has these days off been for him to kind of recharge?
I think it's been really good for us and for Kevin in particular, but all the rest of the guys, Kyrie, Bruce, Seth, you know, all those guys. I mean, Goran, unfortunately, he got too much time off. Would have helped him, but at the same time, he was out for whatever it was, 10, 12 days of inactivity. But, you know, largely really good for our group to have that break instead of having to play tonight and try to get in.
Steve, you gave Kessler some run against Cleveland just as a rookie, kind of going to the postseason the first time. Do you say anything to him about this, or is that maybe counterproductive?
We'll see. Maybe you say something to him and it makes it worse. Maybe you say something to him and it makes it better. I talked to him after and said, you know, just glad that he's gotten a playoff game under his belt, and that it is just basketball, and that he'll improve every game from here on out.
The COVID numbers, Steve, are going back up in a lot of cases. Some high-profile guys now are in protocols. Gordon just came back. Paul George got lost today. You know, it's a long way to go. Do you worry with this Kyrie situation still that maybe this is not totally behind you? The more tests, the more...
Yeah, I mean, it's not even Kyrie. It's everybody. You know, you could lose anybody at every time. I mean, you could be triple vaxxed and be positive. So, you know, it's just the world we live in, and it's another variable in the landscape of the NBA playoffs.
Are they testing more now?
No. I think Kyrie's a unique situation. I'm not positive, but not necessarily league-wide, no.
Okay.
Was Ben able to do any more today?
He hasn't done anything yet, so no.
Okay.
All right.